Raw blood pudding, an ancient dish made from the fresh, uncoagulated blood of animals, often pigs or cows, is one of the most controversial foods still consumed in certain parts of the world today. For many, even the mention of it conjures feelings of discomfort, revulsion, or disbelief. It is a food that challenges not only the palate but also the very boundaries of cultural and psychological acceptance. And yet, for those who prepare and eat it, raw blood pudding is not a novelty or an act of defiance. It is a deeply rooted tradition, a source of vital nutrients, and a living piece of culinary heritage passed down through generations. From a nutritional standpoint, raw blood pudding is remarkably potent. Blood is rich in heme iron, the highly bioavailable form that the human body can absorb more efficiently than the non-heme iron found in plants. For people suffering from or at risk of iron deficiency anemia, a condition that affects billions worldwide, especially women and children, consuming small portions of blood can offer immediate benefits. It also contains protein, B vitamins like B12 and riboflavin, and essential minerals such as zinc and selenium. In regions where access to diverse sources of animal protein is limited, raw blood pudding represents a resourceful and efficient use of every part of the animal, ensuring that nothing goes to waste. And yet, despite these undeniable nutritional strengths, raw blood pudding carries very real warnings that cannot be ignored. The first and most obvious concern is food safety. Consuming any raw animal product is inherently risky, but blood, because of its fluid nature and its role as a transport system for pathogens, can be particularly dangerous if not handled with extreme care. Contamination with bacteria such as Salmonella, E. coli, or Listeria is a legitimate concern. There is also the risk of parasitic infection or transmission of bloodborne diseases, especially in regions where food safety regulations are weak or slaughtering practices are informal. It must be said plainly, eating raw blood is not safe for everyone, and in many cases, it is not safe at all. This is a food that demands trust, not just in the source of the animal, but in the integrity of the entire supply chain, from slaughter to storage. Blood must be fresh, properly collected, and stored under strict conditions to remain even remotely safe for raw consumption. In many developed nations, it is either heavily regulated or outright banned for raw consumption due to these health risks. For people with compromised immune systems, pregnant individuals, or those unfamiliar with sourcing and preparing such products, the risk may far outweigh any benefit. Then there is the psychological challenge. The sight of raw, dark red liquid, the smell of iron, and the thick texture of congealing blood all provoke primal reactions in many people, reactions tied to fear, danger, and even death. Blood is something most cultures teach us to avoid, to clean, to hide. To drink or eat it, raw and unapologetically, goes against almost every modern instinct. And that's precisely what makes raw blood pudding such a powerful cultural marker. It strips food of its glossy, aestheticized facade and returns it to something elemental, something that reminds us of the origins of meat, of sacrifice, of the thin line between nourishment and mortality. In traditional societies, blood pudding is not eaten in isolation. It is often part of ritual or celebration, sacrificial slaughter, festivals, or rites of passage. It carries meaning beyond sustenance. In some cultures, drinking fresh blood is believed to bring strength, virility, or spiritual power. These beliefs are not mere superstition. They are part of a larger worldview that respects the animal not only as a source of meat, but as a living being whose entire body is honored in consumption. In that context, raw blood pudding is not grotesque. It is sacred. It is humility in action. It is a challenge not to squeamishness but to modern detachment. For those willing to confront the experience, eating raw blood pudding can be profound. It offers a flavor unlike anything else. Metallic, earthy, slightly sweet, sometimes spiced or mixed with herbs to temper its intensity. The texture is thick and smooth, sometimes gelatinous. The act of eating it is often slow, reverent, intentional. It demands attention and respect. You cannot eat raw blood pudding casually. It refuses to be background food. It demands presence, and yet, it remains a food that many people will never, and perhaps should never, eat. The risks are real. The cultural gap is wide. The The safety standards required are stringent and often unattainable outside of specific local contexts. But even if one never tastes it, there is value in acknowledging what it represents, a connection to a time when food was not something made in factories but taken from life, preserved with care, and consumed with deep awareness of its origins. Raw blood pudding is a test, not of courage alone, but of humility, knowledge, and respect for tradition, for nutrition, and for the animal itself. It forces us to examine how far we've drifted from real food, from real processes, and from the emotional weight of consumption. Whether we embrace it or reject it, it holds up a mirror to our comfort zones and dares us to look closer. It is not a food to be taken lightly. But for those who understand it, truly understand it, it is more than food. It is identity, memory, survival, and above all, truth.